welcome back to the Board Game Captain. I'm the Board Game Captain, and today I'm going to be reviewing and talking about the Pathfinder 2nd Edition Lost Omens World Guide. Bit of a mouthful there, published by Paizo. Now, first off, I want to start out with a big thank you to Paizo for sending me this review copy of the Pathfinder 2nd Edition Lost Omens World Guide to read and have fun with and do some content with. So, now this is an expansion book to, of course, Pathfinder 2nd Edition. The authors on the inside cover are listed as Tanya DePass, James Jacobs, Liz Liddell, Ron Lundeen, Leanne Marcial, Eric Mona, Mark Safter, and James L. Sutter. So a lot of people were doing work on this book. So the big questions are, now you obviously must either be interested in Pathfinder 2nd Edition or already have Pathfinder 2nd Edition and want to know if you should be interested in getting this particular book for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. So I'm going to jump right into the big questions of what is this book? What's inside? How do I use it? Do I need it? Do I want it? What's good? What's bad? What's everything? What do I need to know about Pathfinder 2nd Edition Lost Omens World Guide? So, first off, what is it? What is it is the big question. So to start with, you've got a book here that after the introduction is organized into the different areas of the world. Now, the areas of the world, which are all in a similar manner to how they did the other books so far in the Pathfinder 2nd Edition series, they'll have them all listed here in like a glossary on the side of the book, so they're very easy to look up the different areas. But after the overview, you have Absalom and the Starstone Isle, the Broken Lands, the Eye of Dread, the Golden Road, the High Seas, Impossible Lands, the Mwangi Expanse, Old Cheliax, the Saga Lands, and the Shining Kingdoms. Now, each of these areas is then further broken up into multiple either political or geographical areas. Kingdoms, empires, even some democratic states. There's a couple in here. So when you get to an area, so let's go to, first before we start all the areas, you have a big map here of the entire area that this book covers, which is the area around the Inner Sea, or they refer to it as the Inner Sea region, and all of the different nations and areas that will be covered in this book are right here. This also comes with a big fold-out map in the back, which is awesome, by the way, so you can put that out on the table or show it to your players when you're talking about where you are and such. Now, once you get past this, you're going to be into the actual areas of the book. So the first area is Absalom and the Starstone Isle. I'm going to focus in on this mostly as an example of how all the sections are done, because they all follow the same format. So the first thing you have is this wonderful 2-page area with a big piece of artwork along the top to set like the feel of what it's like to be in that area of the world, along with a list of the nations that exist in that area of the world, what type of peoples live in that area of the world, the common languages, the factions that are there, the religions, and the common resources that are available in that area of the world. Then you have a close-up of the map of that area of the world before you move on and you get into the actual meat of it. Now, when you get into the meat of any of these areas, what's going to happen is you're going to have a sidebar, and this happens in every section, which gives you a timeline dating all the way back as far as that area can date. So in the case of Absalom and the Starstone Isle, of course, it goes back to it being risen from the depths. That's as far back as it can go. But most of the other areas will go all the way back to landfall, because that's, you know, the barrier between the, semi-mythical ancient past and recorded history. Then you have a full listing that goes through the history up to modern events of the area, as well as a focus in on each of the important areas. It'll tell you about the different nations, the political structure, the political relations with neighboring kingdoms, important political figures, lots of ideas in here, because the way it's written out, while it doesn't give you any actual adventure hooks, it gives you lots of ideas for adventure, because it tells you, okay, this is going on, and obviously this could be some great adventure your heroes could get into. So that's really, really awesome. Then usually, some point during all this discussion of the peoples and the places and the politics and the nations and the wars and the subterfuge and all the things going on in that area and the organizations, etc., there'll usually be one extra little bit of either an item or an extra feat, or in one case, even an extra spell that is unique to that area. So in the case here, you have the Archaic Wayfinder, which is an item that is found only commonly on Absalom and the Starstone Isle. So now, I like these. These are little tidbits. They're just a little thing here and there. Some of my favorites of these little items throughout the book, there's one in an area of the world where there's a school of sword fighting that is very renowned as producing some of the greatest sword fighters in the world, that the item is the particular type of sword that is used in that style of fighting. And while the sword itself is a fairly standard sword, it has finesse, so you can use agility with it instead of strength. But otherwise, it's a fairly standard sword. It's nothing too crazy and different from the other things in the book. It triggers into some other stuff at the end of that chapter where they go into a whole set of feats that you can get that increase your capabilities and give you all sorts of extra abilities when fighting with that fighting style with that sword. And I find that one fascinating. Another one that I really like is a unique spell that's up in the north, the Snowball spell, which is it's an attack spell, but it also slows down your opponent. But it's really characterful if you're making a character from that region. Which making a character from that region is the next thing I'm going to get into, because once you get past all the storyline stuff of that region, and usually that one little mechanic that's thrown in each region, you get to a 2-page section of nothing but mechanical stuff for characters from that region. So each one of these sections for each of the regions will first start with a bunch of new backgrounds. And now, while characters from that region could, of course, have the basic backgrounds that are from the Pathfinder 2nd Edition rulebook, these are special, specific backgrounds that can only be taken by characters from that region and are more specific to the sort of things that might have that might apply to you if you are from, in this case, Absalom and the Starstone Isle. So, for instance, one of the backgrounds here is a freed slave of Absalom. As a recent freed slave in Absalom, you belong to a new close-knit social class at the heart of the city's most important trades. Choose 2 ability boosts. 1 must be to Constitution or Intelligence, and 1 is a free ability boost. You're trained in the Society skill and the Absalom lore skill, and you gain the Streetwise skill feat. So it's a new background. They have lots of these. They have another big one here is Pathfinder Hopeful that I'm a big fan of, because the Pathfinder Society is really headquartered over here in Absalom, and people, this would be a very cool one to have, especially since the second page is all a group of feats that you can get only if you get the first feat. It's like a feat tree, where basically, if you're from Absalom or the Starstone Isle, you can get this first feat, which is called Pathfinder Agent Dedication, which means it's not just that you're a Pathfinder, you're thoroughly, 100% all about being a Pathfinder, and you become incredibly focused in on it. And once you take this feat, which you can take at level 2, you then have a group of other feats that are all only available to you after you've taken this feat. And with all of these, they're called dedication feats, because you're dedicating yourself to a certain path. This is in addition to your character class, mind you. And you're not allowed to take another dedication feat until you have gained 2 other feats from the same feat tree. And there's a lot of these all over the place. Now, granted, in the case of these, you shouldn't be able to take any of these dedication feats anyway, because they're all specifically where your character is from. Though I guess your game master could say, well, if you might be from Absalom, but now you're spending a whole lot of time in the Eye of Dread area, maybe the whole campaign there, maybe later on they might say, all right, you spent so much time here, you can take, and you've done the storyline prerequisites that would mean you should be able to take the feat from that, the dedication feat from that region. Maybe now you can. You still have to have completed your minimum number of feats, which is the starting one plus 2 others from these feats, before being able to take feats from another area. So that's generally how all these are set up. They each one has that one little either item or spell or feat that is a new one for that area, followed by 2 pages, one of backgrounds and the other of the feats. Now, here is the one that I was specifically talking about with the sword, which is another of my favorites. It's called the Aldori Dueling Sword. So the item is in the section, and then when you get to the back, the dedication feat is Aldori Duelist Dedication. So once you have this, you start to be able to get all these cool things like the Aldori Parry or the Duelist Edge, the Aldori Riposte, which is a cool one. When someone crit fails while they're trying to attack you, you get to automatically counterattack them. These are awesome. So, all right. I love the in-depth look at each of the areas. I love the examination of each of the possible nations, talking about what's going on there. Lots of little teasers. There's lots of little teasers in here. They even give you little teasers to what's going on even on the other planets in the solar system as a little thing in the introduction, which is something I'm excited to learn more about, and I hope they do a book on that in the future. But all the different areas are really different and really interesting. I mean, from the Eye of Dread, where you have a ancient necromancer that is waking up and is going to be threatening all the nations around it, to Numeria, which is a nation where there's a ancient crashed alien spacecraft and a new machine god waking up there, and all sorts of cool things you can do with that. And it doesn't tell you exactly, it doesn't stat out the machine god. It doesn't tell you exactly what it is or how to play it. So you can decide yourself. This is like a primer, you've got the basic information on each area of the world, and then you can come up with your own stories that fit in that area, which is something I really like to do, and I like that they don't fully spell it out, because I'm going to invent all my own stuff. So, and then you've got the game mechanical stuff, and the little additions I think is just enough. They put just enough mechanics in here along with all the storyline. I like the new backgrounds. I love the new edge trees that they have, where you take the first edge and then you can take the additional edges as you go. It gives you an extra way to even further customize your character beyond just their class and the basic things you start out with, because then once you're already made, you can take one of these and take them down a new path, which diverges them a little bit from a normal fighter or a normal wizard or normal bard or whatever it might be. Like they have a one that's really good for bards and rogues, where you can become a master of disguise. Those are really cool, really fun. So, yeah, I mean, if you can't tell that I'm gushing over this book, because I've very much enjoyed reading it. I just finished it last night. So let's run down some of the other things about the book. So first off, production. Now, let me just say that if Paizo ever released a product that wasn't thoroughly beautiful and super high quality and well produced, I would be shocked. Their stuff is really great. They all have the proper old school hardcover thread binding. I mean, look at that. Look at that binding in there. It's a thin book. They could have gotten away with doing it maybe even as a soft cover, but they didn't. They went with their typical hardcover, full color illustrations. All the pages have color on them. So this is a full color printing, beautifully bound, really feels like a nice, durable book that's going to last me forever. And yeah. So production, really, really good. Contents, very enjoyable. I loved reading about all the different areas. And also, like I said, just the right amount of mechanics in here as well. So who would I recommend this book to? So first off, if you're a game master, whether you want to play in the standard Pathfinder universe or make your own, I would recommend this book to you, and I'll tell you why. So if you're going to play in the basic Pathfinder universe, you have to have this book. There's no choice, because this is going to give you an explanation of what the whole world is, the whole world around the Inner Sea region at least is like. All the different cultures, their history of wars and politics and how they relate to the other areas, what their economies are like. Very important if you're going to play in the world. But if you're not going to play in this world, if you're going to make your own world, this is a fantastic book to read through to figure out how to properly make a living, breathing world, especially with coming up with your own feat trees and your own backgrounds for your own world, because that is a brilliant addition in this that I really like. And if you're going to make your own world, I still recommend you buy this book so that you will know how to make your own world. You can use this as a template, which is fantastic because it's so well done. And thirdly, players. Should players get this book? And the answer is, if your game master is playing in the Pathfinder world, in the actual standard Golarion in the Inner Sea region, yes, 100% yes, because you're going to want to read up to when you're making your character and later when referring to your character, so you know all about the area that your character is from. Also, so you'll have, when you're going to make your character, you're going to have a thorough understanding ahead of time of what sort of extra backgrounds and edges you might want to go towards, might want to work towards. It helps give you a lot of great character ideas in this. And also, if you're a player and you're ever thinking of running your own game, again, refer back to my first thing about if you're a game master, because whether you're planning on playing in Golarion in the Inner Sea region or not, I really think if you're ever going to be a game master, you should have this book. So now that might kind of seem like I'm referring this book to everybody, and I kind of am. I kind of am saying, yeah, buy this book, and that's because I really like it. So, okay, one, I shot through this book in about a day and a half because I actually just thoroughly enjoyed reading it. It's the storylines, all the different areas were really brilliantly done. I loved them. I loved going through all the mechanic stuff. It was just an enjoyable read, and it was a quick read. But also, it's so useful, and that's why I'm referring it to everyone. So I'm down to my number. I'm going to give this a solid 9 stars out of 10. My only real complaint is that I would have wanted even more content because it's a bit small, but I understand that. There is a second Lost Omens guide, the Lost Omen character guide. I'm willing to bet that a lot of the stuff I would have liked to have been in here is probably in that book. So I can't wait to check that one out at some point. But yeah, the Pathfinder Lost Omens World Guide. If you are going to be playing in Pathfinder or game mastering in Pathfinder, I can recommend this book to you. This book is a great way to learn about the world, learn about the area that your character is from, plus the areas that your character might want to go adventuring in. And if you're a game master, this helps you learn all about the world you're going to be running in. So yeah, it's great. Plus it gives you even more options. And like I said in the Pathfinder rulebook review, options is Pathfinder 2nd Edition's strongest suit. When making characters, there are tons of options. This gives you even more backgrounds, more feats, more wonderful little items. There's a really cool item in here. I know I'm just going from thing to thing, but there's this cool item in here where there's a potion that can basically revert you back to your youth at your current skill level, and is like one of the most valuable magical potions in the world, and only comes from this one area of the world, and they only make 6 of them a year. So it could be like you could have a whole campaign around stealing one of these, which would be really fun. Now that I think about it, and that's the kind of ideas this book gives you. Like when I'm reading about this, you could be hired by some wealthy individual who's very elderly and lost because they put them out for bidding, lost a bid to get one of these, and now sends you to steal it. And that could be the basis of an entire adventure, or maybe just one session. Either way, it could be awesome. And, if you succeed in stealing it, then you could be wanted, and that could be the rest of the adventure storyline is now trying to escape the authorities because maybe you get seen and people know it was you who took it. And again, these are some of the most valuable objects in the world. So there you have it. That is the Pathfinder Lost Omens World Guide. I highly recommend it. 9 stars out of 10. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns either on this video or on the Pathfinder Lost Omens World Guide, feel free to put them in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this review of the Pathfinder Lost Omens World Guide, be sure to give this video a like, share it on all forms of social media, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Board Game Kaptain. That's Captain spelled with a K on YouTube. And until next time, game on.